So, recently, a new song came out by the name of WAP. For those of you all who are uninitiated, WAP is an acronym that stands for Wet Expletive Donkey's Rear, or perhaps a human's rear. Female sexual reproductive organs. It's basically when a woman's nether regions become drenched with lubrication and anticipation for sexual intercourse. Just wanted to say that one, just in case some of you all didn't understand and didn't quite pick up on what a WAP was. So, Ben Shapiro made a response to WAP, and I was greatly disappointed in him. So I decided I'll talk about it, and more than that, talk about something else that really has been on my mind for a while, but I had really no reason to pontificate upon it until now, right? Because now is a good time, because now we have this song WAP that directly, correlates or addresses the thing that has been greatly confusing to me. Let's start with the thing that's been greatly confusing to me, and then we'll talk about WAP. We'll get there. Don't worry. So something that's always kind of been a little off to me, especially recently, because I started watching TikTok, whenever I have like a couple of minutes to spare. And this is one thing that's been really bizarre to me. And it's interesting that I noticed this on TikTok, or I noticed how bizarre this was when I started watching TikTok. But it never really was bizarre to me just in general, despite the fact that I've done the Attention Whore Chronicles and the fact that I've talked about thoughty behavior on the internet. But this is the one time it really irked me. I say irked, but I mean, allow me to fix the camera first. So, the thing that's been greatly confusing to me, and I'm just going to come right out and say it, there's no reason for a great preamble or anything like that, is women expressing sexual interest. Now, I know that sounds off, right? Because, I'm here, you're there. We exist. So, how is it strange or peculiar that that I would be confused by women expressing sexual interest, right? That sounds off. That sounds, dare I would say, a little stupid. But just hear me out. Just hear me out. Just listen to me, okay? It's going to make more sense as I talk, I hope. Just hear me out, okay? Because here's the thing. Like I said, it's not that I'm just so... Oh, let me just start off with this. I've never, had my penis licked with a woman's vagina juice before, right? I've never done that before. So my perspective may be worthless. I'm a worthless male in the eyes of many people, unfortunately, because, a woman has never selected me for sexual intercourse. So just so you guys know, I'm meaningless. I don't mean anything. I'm also very ugly, okay? So take my opinion with a grain of salt, because apparently the only thing that registers you as a man is having your penis licked with vagina juice. I don't know what it is about the vagina juice that levels you up. Maybe it's a huge XP pack. I don't know. I'm a virgin, okay? So, take this with a grain of salt. But this is something that's just always been really strange to me, okay? Because I've spent a huge portion of my existence, listening to women, earnestly. And what they say they want, oftentimes, ain't really what they respond to. Now, of course, I've pontificated upon why this be the case, for years now. But that's not really what I want to focus on, okay? Because the thing is, while I intellectually can understand that what women say they want isn't really what they respond to very well, I just kind of want people to just kind of accept the fact that that's very counterintuitive to just how human beings operate. That's just counterintuitive to how we be. When you see stop, you don't think go, right? Your brain isn't programmed to flip things on its axis, or to reverse the message of something, right? And even then, even when operating with a woman, it's not really even correct to say like women like toxic traits. So it would be more accurate to say is women cost-benefit analysis, or they cost-benefit analyze, and the benefits outweighs the cost because they're stupid, basically. Like the benefit of a higher social status, or the benefit of getting one of these high-status males outweighs the cost of having to compete with multiple different women. You know, now despite the fact that these Muppets never realized that when you give males so many different options and availabilities, that what that should do is force you to be better, except they don't. They still are stuck on this idea that they just have to show up, but you know, that's another video for another time. You can see, you know, dear viewer, that I can intellectualize this very, very well. It's not even difficult for me to logically think about this thing, you know. But the thing is, despite the fact that my logical brain can analyze and understand and register this stuff, seeing women express sexual interest is still a very, very strange and bizarre thing to me, because I think in the back of my mind, you know, in the core of my subconscious, I've been trained to believe that women don't like sex. And that's mostly because just for years, women have always had a very, very negative response and negative opinion of sex. Now, every now and again, you know, there'll be some women, like, I mean, I guess, like, to Chad, like, this just wouldn't be the case. It just wouldn't be true because he's sexually successful. But to men who unfortunately give a shit about women and, like, you know, care about them to some capacity, and even just the guys who are just simps, who just idolize the men, I mean, sorry, women, you know, and even just, you know, just kind of regular guys who are just trying to date, like, you know, the consensus for lots of women as far as their sexual experiences with males go is oftentimes hilariously negative. It's hilariously downtrodden. It's no contest. It's ridiculous. Multiple women constantly complain about how they've had bad sex. I mean, female comedians always have the obligatory bad sex joke, which again, excuse me, is peculiar to me as to how any woman can have bad sex. Mostly because all they really have to do is just kind of show up and then just let the man's enthusiasm take control. And I feel like if sex is an act that takes, you know, two people to work together, you know, the woman can say something, or she can be an active participant as well. And I mean, if you're picking dudes constantly who just are just bad at having sex, I find it that you can just have a conversation about it. And if you can't converse about the sex you enjoy having, you probably shouldn't be having sex with that person. But again, I digress. It's just interesting. But the point being is that they, you know, you have that, you know, that meme, or you have that consistent through line of women complaining about males sexually and not being able to orgasm, which again is a peculiar thing to me. I would imagine that if a woman really cared too much about orgasming, she would make some conscious effort to obtain it. But you know, but of course, again, the intellectualizing there would be that very many women more want men to come pre-programmed. You know, women are very passive creatures. You know, they don't like confrontation usually, especially white women. They're not fans of having to be upfront and expressing themselves, you know, when it comes to the things they desire to men. They'll do it to other females, but for men, for some reason, it's just, you know, I don't know why, but they don't. They want men to just know, and they just want men to do. They want to be led. They want to follow. And I think that's probably, you know, the maladaptation of that. The maladaptation of their passivity I'm referring to, or their maladaptation of them wanting to be led. Like, it comes to a certain point where you being the first mate, you're going to have to say something to the captain to help him make better decisions. Like, that's your role as a woman. Like, you may want to be led, you may want to be a follower, but like, the leader is a human. Like, your male is a human. He's going to make mistakes. He needs help. And women, they don't respect that, you know, that they can do that they can help men improve sexually. That's just one thing I wanted to pontificate upon, because there's just really no other natural way to put it. I've seen women complain so much about this, and it just blows my mind. But again, that's my point. They complain so much about this, right? And then I've seen, but you know, seeing this constant through line of just, and then here's another thing that gets me, just, you know, to add on to where my confusion comes from, right? There's so many times I hear women say that they've been used, right? Or some guy used them for sex. And I remember growing up, I didn't want to be a guy like that, you know? I wanted to be a guy that respected women, not for their bodies, not for their vaginas, but for who they were as people. And I genuinely invested large emotional stock into women as people. And I really cared about that. I really was friends with them. I really took what they said into consideration. Like, really, like, genuinely. I'm not even Of course, the whole nice guy thing is a meme and everything, but I genuinely like cared about these women and like listened to them and like and talk to them as like people and tried to learn about them as people. Of course, I have been unsuccessful in maintaining any long-term relationship with a woman, despite the fact that I had respected them so much. And I say respect in quotation marks, mostly because I know people like treat it as a meme, but like I genuinely, like I cared about these people deeply. And it kind of sucks that I have to say it like that, but I didn't want to be some guy who just had sex with a woman and left. You know, I wanted to be someone that actually, you know, had something meaningful with them, and someone that like, you know, could grow and like have a family with at some point eventually. And so through that, I would like almost next to never even allude to like sex or sexuality with women. But I'll tell you one thing, dude, the one time, and like every time I talked to a girl, I tried to be friends with her, right? And this was all, you know, predicated upon the fact that they always were talking about how guys were using them for sex, how guys were pigs, how guys, they only wanted to have sex, guys just wanted to use them. And so I wanted to be different. I wanted to be better for the women in my life, right? And not just the women in my life, but, you know, women I wanted to date and whatnot. And I listened to them and I did everything they asked. And we all know how that turned out. But the thing is, it's interesting, right? Because the moment I stopped doing that, there's the one time I got a girlfriend was the one time I tried to talk to a woman with the pure interest in just having sex with her and like never talking to her again. It wasn't right, and I know it wasn't right, but I didn't care. That my ex-girlfriend did it for me. And it's interesting, like she responded a lot better when I was just trying to bang her and I didn't care than when I did care and I wanted to invest in her and I wanted to have like a meaningful relationship with her. It's very interesting how that works. So like the thing is like with women, they're very counterintuitive. I don't know if they were always counterintuitive, but I know they're very counterintuitive like in the last, you know, decade, in the last 15 years, you know. What should work or what should be is flipped on its head. And the thing that kind of sucks, is hilarious, is it only works or it's only acceptable if the woman wants you in the first place. So like you can't really be a dick to a woman that doesn't want you. Like, you know, like I said, what women are really doing is they're doing a cost benefit analysis, and the benefit is more than the cost. That's why women stay in bad relationships. It's not really that they enjoy the mistreatment. It's not really they enjoy being, well, some of them do. Some of them are just masochists. Some of them are. But it's really more, you know, they stand to gain more if they stay than if they leave. That's how they feel a lot of the time, usually. But more importantly than that, because I feel like I'm getting off of the beaten path, like I said, whenever I see women like express sexual interest, it's very, very bizarre to me and a bit like fake. So I'm going to give you guys like a little bit of like a montage, just like on TikTok that I've seen. And this is also like on TikTok, it's very eerie. So I made certain to make sure, you know what? No, I'm going to put this in here for a second because I do think it's important, but I want you guys, you know, like we're going to have to talk about that in its own video. But I'm going to put it in here anyway. And I'm going to just show you guys a little bit of a montage. You know, there's lots of thoughts on TikTok, but look, check this out.
So when they see me, they make their wishes. Hi, I'm Bloody J. I'm an addict. Money, lean, weed. Yes, I got you.
Why the hell is it that damn big? It's bigger than my face. I don't even know where it came from. I ain't never seen one this big, damn dinosaur size. At least can you explain to me why it's so beefy?
Answer these questions using your favorite sports activity or hobby, your favorite food, and a special person in your life. If I had to give up one of these for an entire year, it would be, I spend the most time thinking about, if I had to be quarantined with only this, I would be okay. I spend the most money on, this one makes me feel better when I'm sad. This one makes me the most happy.
It's so good treat. Don't hesitate to have me on my knees for you. I'm gonna let you hit it for free for you. I'm gonna let you hit it for free for you. I probably shouldn't. I'm gonna let you hit it for free. Real renegation, daddy, I'm your.
You wanna put a ring on my finger?
I have a genuine question for all men. All sexually active men, I should say. When a woman tells you, don't stop, I'm gonna, you know, the fun part, like what you guys all aim to do when we're having fun, I just genuinely want to know why you think that that's a really good time for you to switch up the pace or switch it up and do something completely different as to what you were doing, and it feels completely different and it's not getting me to where I want to be. Why do y'all think that's okay? Why do you stop? Why do you slow it down? I'm just genuinely asking.
So recently I started talking to one of my exes again. We haven't done anything in like, I don't know, like maybe like 5-6 months. And so we're hooking up for the first time again. And tell me why this motherfucker starts to do some shit he has never done before. So I was just laying there like, so which bitch taught you that? Because I'm trying to personally send this bitch a fucking thank you letter for her acts of service. Like, that shit was way better than before. Like, this shit was fucking straight fire. Like, I'm trying to send this bitch a fucking Chick-fil-A.
I'ma let you hit it for free for you. I'ma let you hit it for free for you. I probably shouldn't. I'ma let you hit it for free.
Walk up in the bitch to clean up froze. They don't fight you when I fuck. Like the beat, I keep a drum. You ain't got dough, little boy, you a bum. She gave me brain, that bitch so dumb. Used to be broke, I ain't had no fun. I spend it just for fun. Eat that hair, it's just for lunch. Walk up in a bit with the V.
Crazy sex fact number 1. On average, a woman fantasizes about sex 34 times in one day. Oh, sorry. Distracted.
Peace out.
Hey, Club Godzilla, I ain't tricking, I'm just dicking bitches down, head down, pop that pussy.
This is gonna hurt like a bitch.
So you'll see lots of different girls talking about all the dudes that they want. There's a couple of those in there. You have girls, you know, talking about times they had sex, girls talking about their favorite positions. Like, whenever I see women do that, a part of me doesn't take it seriously. Like, a part of me doesn't believe it, and I find it to be, dare I say, cringy. Like, it honestly makes me cringe a little bit when women talk about sex so blatantly and so openly, right? Because I've seen my frame of reference, I think, is the problem. It's a direct contradiction to my frame of reference. And even just on some of the comments I've seen on TikTok as well, it's still, you know, it still will reflect this idea of males using women, of males taking advantage of women. Which, let me just kind of pause to say this one, which is strange, was also very peculiar to me. You know, women, I didn't even finish that thought. You know, lots of women always say they get used by males, and I just don't understand this. I really don't. I don't understand. I know what they mean, but when I say I don't understand it, is I mean, I don't get how, as a woman, your brain allows this to happen. That's really what I mean. When I say I don't get it, I really mean, like, if I were a woman, like, my brain isn't geared the way females' brains are geared to allow this shit to prosper, because I just couldn't do it. My pride just wouldn't allow it. And this is a great example of that. And that's being used. Like, I don't get this shit. Like, I don't understand how, as a woman, you can be used for sex. Just number one, and just in terms of your pride, but let's just start with number 2. Number 2, nigga, you were there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how are you used for sex if you are also having sex? Like, if you are having sex with this dude that you find attractive, that you want, how are you being used? Is this nigga just like Doctor Strange you out your fucking body? Just, all right, I'm just gonna go explore the multiverse. Use my body like a fleshlight, and you just fly away. Your spirit just flies away while he has sex with you. Is that what you were used? Like, I don't get that. How are you getting used for sex if you're there too and you want the guy? So that would mean, if you're getting used for sex, that means, I guess, you didn't want the guy, or you were trying to get something out of having sex, or you were trying to use it as a transaction. So here's the long and short of it. What has happened was, modernity has turned a lot of women into straight up prostitutes. Because if you're a woman and you say you've been used for sex, you do recognize that you're trying to say that there was some type of transaction that was supposed to go there beyond the sex. And you didn't get that, so you were the one that was used. So what are you trying to get? Now, of course, I get it. Logically, I get it. You wanted a relationship with Chad. Unfortunately, because Chad has so many options and you're not special, or you were just available, he used you and then he moved on. For some reason, women cannot grasp this concept, but, you know, that's beyond me as to why their brains don't operate like that. I don't get it. That's what I mean. I don't understand. So it's like, how are you getting used if you are also there too? You should be enjoying having sex with this person. If you're not enjoying having sex with this person, you probably shouldn't be having sex with them. If you're starfishing people, if you're getting used, there's some problem there. Something ain't right. You know, but that's just number one. I just didn't like, oh, that was technically number two. Like, if you are in having sex, you are also a participant of what's going on. So then we got to move back to number one of this thing that that's strange to me. It's just kind of like your pride. Like, it's just, there's like a part of me that just cannot allow to be treated or like mistreated in a certain way. You know, you can't mistreat me and I'm just going to take it. Like, I'm going to have an opinion, I'm going to say something, or I'm just not going to deal with you at all. I'm just not going to have a conversation with you. I'm just going to end the engagement there. Lots of women I've noticed, no, they have that shit for little. They have it for me. I guess because I'm not Chad. If I mess up one good right time with a woman, if I do like one little minute thingy thing that they don't like, I'm gone. Quick flash in a hurry. Chad cheats on them 2-3 times. They're still there. And I've seen, like, here's the thing. I've seen it. Like, I'm not making this up, dude. You know what? I'm going to make a whole video where I talk about that on its own thing. I will 100% do that because I've seen it. Right? And of course, again, intellectually, I get it. It's a cost-benefit analysis. And their foolishness, and the benefit outweighs the cost. And if the cost is them getting their ass beat, I'm just gonna get their ass beat. Like, it's like, you know, well, I still have a place to live, so I'm just gonna take this ass whooping on the chin and stay. You know, maybe I should make a joke out of domestic violence, but hopefully it's important that you guys recognize that, again, I'm not saying that women enjoy this type of behavior unless they're a masochist. Like, they do exist. But what I want to be important is the fact that you'll see these extreme behaviors that women will accept, right? And then flip around and say that they're getting used for sex, right? And I feel like I'm losing the plot here, but I just wanted to talk about, let's move back on the TikTok, because I'm kind of all over the place here. Now, like, when I see videos like this on TikTok, there's like a part of me that, like I say, that kind of recoils a little bit, because my frame of reference is the opposite of this so much, just growing up in life and having friends that were females and talking to females and talking to women and listening to their experiences with toxic males, right? Seeing this, you're getting countered like by all this different stuff that you've seen is just bizarre to me. It's just very, very, very strange, because it makes me wonder, how can you guys say that you like sex so much and then constantly complain about the males that you're with? Like, where is the disconnect here? Like, what's going on? Like, something isn't adding up. And that's what I'm saying. Now, of course, different people are different. You have to take that. Like, some women are going to be like really, really sexual, and some women like really, really, really aren't. But the thing is, it's overwhelmingly women aren't. And I put this in quotation marks because clearly they are, but they put on such an air about themselves that they're not. Now, of course, I imagine that lots of women will say that this is due to the social pressure of ladies not wanting to appear as being sluts or being slutty or being promiscuous. But I have to say that there's a gigantic misunderstanding here as a woman if you think that it's reasonable to pretend to dislike sex when actually you're really, you know, getting into all these toxic different behaviors and whatnot. No one is really going to think that you're a slut because you enjoy having sex with a la one person. What makes you promiscuous is having sex with multiple people. And like, when you broadcast it on the internet, like, a lot of women don't grasp this. They do grasp this, but what they want to do is they want a two-step, you know. And I hate this with a hot, fiery passion. This two-step that women do. Women will dress in a very enticing and revealing way, and then they say, "Well, I just do it for myself. I wear makeup and whatnot, and I just do it for myself." And for a long time, I didn't really grasp that concept, because I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. You can't see yourself as you go through life. Unless you are so narcissistic as to where you just have a compact mirror and you just look at your face. You don't see yourself. Your appearance purely exists outside for other people to consume, and it's going to affect how they treat you, because it's just you, at your eyeballs see outward, they don't see the inside, right? You don't look at life in a third-person view, nigga, right? This isn't a video game. It's not a top-down perspective. Oh, I gotta make sure I look beautiful for my avatar. It's not how it is, you know. So it's like, when you look at it purely logically like that, it's bizarre. It's bullshit. Like, so I changed the parking lot because my phone overheated and I overheated and my eyes all red, I just noticed, and it's not a good look. It's hard. It's tough, man. So when we last left off, in the last cut, we were talking about the two-step that ladies do, where they will outwardly broadcast sexual availability, and then they'll recoil and say, well, no, I was just doing it for myself. And like I said, I didn't grasp it, especially the whole makeup thing. But what I came to understand about women putting on makeup, or women putting on, you know, their thought uniform, what they're really saying when they say I do it for me or I do it for myself, is I do it for my self-esteem, to feel comfortable, right? What they're really trying to say is they feel like when they don't wear makeup, they probably feel like there's something wrong with them. Like they're not presenting themselves in a way that's favorable to themselves. They probably look bad in their minds. So when they say they put on makeup for me or myself, it's more so they feel comfortable in their own body. It's not really so much because they want to look attractive to other people, but because they want to make sure that they don't look bad. So really what a lot of women are doing is they're here normal because they think they're ugly, and all makeup does is it just pushes them just on equal footing, that they're just acceptable now, right? Now of course I would have to say we'd have to crank that one a step further to where, you know, if you start dressing in a revealing manner, there's you know, either you're foolish or you know exactly what you're doing. There's probably no real in between. You know, you probably are trying to obtain male attention there. But as far as makeup is concerned, I accept what women are trying to communicate, that makeup makes them feel normal, you know, quote unquote, rather than they're wearing makeup because they want, you know, to bring in more male attention. I think the revealing clothing, there's not much argument there. Twerking, not much argument there. And broadcasting sexual availability, I would have to put in the category, not much argument there. There's no way, like on the whole TikTok thing that I'm showing you guys. But right, the thing is, you know, these women, they'll make these TikToks, and of course they are broadcasting sexual availability, obviously, to high status males, to males that they want. But the thing is, mostly being creepy, here's what's interesting thing, all kind of comes down to the woman doesn't want you, not necessarily your actions are strange or bizarre, unfortunately. That word should be reserved for ever behaviors that are strange and bizarre and unbecoming, but really it's just that, you know, you tried to spit game to a woman and she thought that you were ugly. You know, maybe you were nervous or something, but you just cranked that bit up to 12 because you were ugly. If Chad was nervous and she thought that he was a beautiful human being, she would find it cute and enduring. We all know this, okay? Or at least we should. If you don't know it, you know it now. You know, like a huge portion of like approaching or trying to communicate with other people, especially with women, as much as they like to say that they care about personality, it is genuinely being an attractive person. That's just kind of the long and short of it. You just have to accept it. That's just how human beings are. Rage against the machine as much as you want. That's just how it be. The problem isn't that that's just how it be. The real problem is the fact that like women aren't understanding that like they are broadcasting, you know, a message out there that every radio is receiving and picking up, right? And without the knowledge of understanding that, of course, women only probably want realistically 30% of males available. Like, that's a realistic take. You know, 80-20 is too much. 90-10, way too much. That's a little bit. Realistically, it's more women want the top 30%, 35%, you know, and which isn't good. It's not a good thing, you know, but yeah, it's not really, you know, that's not really the point. You know, the point being is that it looks really bizarre to me. Like I said, even though I can intellectualize it very well, it's still very strange to me when I see women, you know, say, hey, I want to have sex, or hey, I like sex like this. Because like I said, my frame of reference is the opposite. You know, sex for women, relationships with males for women, very seldom is ever put in any positive light. Very seldom is a complimentary ever given to males. And now every now and again, of course, the only time it is a great and wonderful thing is when a woman is recounting a tale with chat or a tale with a large penis. Like and it's always this extreme stuff. It's always large, penises, which I say it frankly now, this video's gonna get demonetized now if the censors watch it up to this point. But that's a whole nother video unto itself as well. Like, I could really intellectualize that. No one would watch that video. No one would care. But we could talk about that, because that's an interesting thing to discuss. I know that shit sounds pretty gay, so no homo. Anyhow, what I'm trying to say here, to wrap this video up, because I'm hot, is that it's really strange to me when I see women be outwardly sexual. And so this leads us to WAP. I was supposed to talk about this song, WAP. Wet Behind Female Nether Regions. That's the censored version. How would you even put an acronym? Wet, it would be WBFNR. That's not even you can't even pronounce it. So, the song, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's off to me because it's a very, very, very good song. What I mean by that is Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B have a very strong stage presence. They play their characters well. Their metaphors were great. Their examples were fantastic. The sample hit. The thing that sucks about WAP is the fact that all that talent goes into something so debased and something so low effort that people just have no choice but to accept it. Like, saying I'm a woman that wants to have sex, it's like I said, I'm a strange individual. I don't know if anyone shares that cringy bizarreness that I have. I'm probably alone in this, but I recognize that other people probably are never gonna be like, wow, a woman wants to have sex, that's weird, I'm sure most people would just be very enthusiastic to go into it, especially males. And because of that, it feels very low-hanging fruit, or very low, I don't want to say low value, but it feels very lazy to create a song. It's with so much skill. Like, these women have a strong stage presence. It just sucks that they can only talk about having sex. It's like, yeah, like, that's easy. Like, it's the lowest common denominator. We all have reptilian brains. Only people who are asexual, and even then, that's a whole topic unto itself, are really the people who aren't going to resonate with that. It's easy, but there's just so much skill that went into what these women did. It's like, damn, imagine if they actually talked about something with substance, they'd be fantastic. But instead, we get WAP. And really, more than anything else, what WAP really is it's a concentrated effort to show us that we've just created a generation of just prostitutes. And I mean beyond OnlyFans, and I mean beyond streetwalkers. I mean, you have women trying to use sex as a bargaining chip to obtain something. Whether it be a relationship, whether it be free food for that time and day. Women aren't having sex as its own experience with males to enjoy it with men, even as its own experience to, like, have babies. And of course, some people aren't. This is not everyone, of course. But, like, generally, when you look at the culture in general, you're a little more bizarre and strange, especially if you're a young individual who wants to be, like, especially like a liberal environment, who wants to be in a family unit, or who wants to have a good, strong relationship. You look like you're out of your mind, right? Rather than you look like, like a normal person. So the thing is, like, and that's kind of I think the overarching issue I would feel with WAP is more that the fact that it's nothing different, it's nothing out of the ordinary, and that's kind of the problem. It's the fact that, like, it's gonna get to a point where, like, this whole prostitution, slutdom whoredom thing for a woman is going to be the benchmark for being a female. And that's really bizarre, right? Because not only is it a foolish maladaptation of what a lot of women think the male experience is. A lot of women don't have the empathy or recognize the male experience for most men is not being promiscuous. It's not having a bunch of sex. It's more commonly it's no one or one person you stay with for a long time, and that's only, like, being able to be promiscuous is for a small portion of males. And so women, the only way they can be promiscuous is by going up to those guys who are going to be bouncing around from them, right? So you see how the cycle just goes on and on and on and on. And so that's going to become the default. And that's basically being solidified with WAP. What's being solidified with WAP is the default way to be a female is to be outwardly sexual so much. But like I said, for people like me, I might be alone in this, I might be the one lone male. It's very, very, very bizarre. It's very, very strange to see women be outwardly sexual when they spend so much time dogging males and talking about how males are using them or talking about their negative experience with men, and very seldom is it ever a positive thing. And then even then it's still the only positive thing they usually say is that the male had a big penis and that the sex was good. And that's another thing that's also strange too, is a lot of women will say they stayed because the sex was good or some nonsense like that, or because he had a big dick but he was just so toxic and bad. And then it's like, okay, so then what do you really value then? You apparently have no integrity, you have no honor. I know I say this a lot, but you have no integrity if you're just going to, I mean, you have no pride in yourself if you're just going to allow yourself to get used and mistreated like that. And so, yeah, I think I'm going to have to end the video here because it's really long and I'm hot and I want to go home. So that being said, I just don't know if you guys got something out of today's video. Probably not going to do this car stuff anymore because damn, it's hot. But if you did, man, go ahead and click the like button. Go ahead and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comments below. And as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon. Adios.